Hey guys, it's Carolyn again. This is going to be my last video to do with my favorite books, and these are my favorite young adult books. Okay, first up we have Looking for Alaska by John Green. I read this in my YA Lit class, and this was my first introduction to John Green, and his writing is so amazing. How I explained this to my best friend, because I called him either when I was in the middle of reading this or like right after I read it. And what I said was, it's like John Green takes these jumbled concepts from my head and that I cannot find the proper words or verbal interpretations for, and puts them on paper. And I don't mean just for me. I mean, I'm sure he does this for a lot of people, but it's just concepts that I never could exactly word right, and he just words them so well. It's like perfect. And I found this out in this book, and it's just so awesome. And it's a really, really sad, wonderful, amazing book. But, yeah, I'll read the inside flap to you guys. First drink, first prank, first friend, first girl, last words. Miles Halter is fascinated by famous last words and tired of his safe life at home. He leaves for boarding school to seek what the dying poet Francois Rabelais, I hope I pronounced that right, called The Great Perhaps. Much awaits Miles at Culver Creek, including Alaska Young. Clever, funny, screwed up, and dead sexy, Alaska will pull Miles into her labyrinth and catapult him into the Great Perhaps. Looking for Alaska brilliantly chronicles the indelible impact one life can have on another. A multiple award winner, this stunning debut marks #1 best-selling author John Green's arrival as a groundbreaking new voice in contemporary fiction. I don't know what else to say about this book, except that it is just wonderful, and it's the kind of book that you think about long after you're finished reading it, and that to me is one of the signs of a great book, and it's one of the things that I look for in a great book, and it's awesome. So good. Okay. Next up. These are two recent favorites, very recent favorites, because I literally just finished these two books within the last couple of weeks. The first is The Disreputable History of Frankie Landau Banks by E. Lockhart. I know that this was in my hall, my library hall that I showed you guys. And I'm not going to go into too much detail because I want to put this in my wrap-up video at the end of the month, but this book was awesome. The only thing that I was very hesitant about, I guess, in liking was the ending, because I do have some serious issues with the end of this book, but the rest of it was so enjoyable that it kind of overshadowed my disliking of the ending, and I'll go into much more detail in my wrap-up, but this book is really good, and I highly recommend it. Okay, next we have Name of the Star by Maureen Johnson. This book, ghosts, boarding school, London, Jack the Ripper, it was so good. And Maureen Johnson has been one of my favorite authors since high school. I'm pretty sure I told you guys that in my haul. But she has outdone herself in this book. It is equal and maybe even a little bit better than 13 Little Blue Envelopes. I'm going to say equal because they're so different that I really can't say that one is better than the other, but they are definitely my two favorites of hers. This one, it's so good that I saw that the hardcover was, Amazon was doing one of those half price days where it's like, for the next 18 hours only, this book is half off. So I got the hardcover of this, because I'm very sad that I have to take this back to the library tomorrow. So yeah, this book is amazing. Okay. Next we have Beauty by Robin McKinley. Beauty and the Beast is my favorite story of all time. There's literally no story that I like better. I know I said Sense and Sensibility was my favorite book of all time, but Beauty and the Beast is just one of those stories where there are so many different interpretations of it. And so I don't count that as my favorite book. I count it as my favorite story. My favorite tale that's told in so many different ways. And this retelling by Robin McKinley is gorgeous and wonderful. She's one of the best fairy tale retellers that I have ever read. And there's also, she has another one that's quite like this called Rose Daughter, but the ending is different. And she said that she wrote it for people who wanted the ending to be different than this one, and when you read it, you'll see why, or if you read it. And that one is also quite good, but I like the ending in this one better. So that's why I own this one, and that's why it's one of my favorites. And as you can see, I've read it a lot. I don't know if you guys can tell, but the spine is cracked in like 3 different places. I know I don't like breaking my spines, but there's certain books that I've just read so much that they have to be well worn. And so this book is beautiful, and the descriptions are awesome. Like, there's a description of Beauty's room that is so breathtaking, and you just close your eyes and you can see all of it. And it also makes you see what a beautiful soul the Beast has in this book, just by the way he makes her room and the way he keeps the castle and the way he treats the servants in the castle, and it's lovely. Better than the Disney one, even though the Disney one is my favorite movie of all time, but this is definitely a nicer, it's beautiful. Okay, next up we have The Looking Glass Wars by Frank Better. This is a Alice in Wonderland story, and the reason why I say this is one of my favorite books instead of it being one of my favorite trilogies, because there's 2 more after this. There's Seeing Red and Arch Enemy, because I think he's called King. Maybe it's Arch Enemy. I guess it's Arch Enemy. But I say that because I've read Seeing Red, but I don't really remember much about it. And if I don't really remember much about it, I can't think that I liked it too well. And I actually haven't read Arch Enemy yet, and I really want to. But this book was very good. I love his interpretation of Alice's character, and I love Dodge, and you'll meet him if you read the book. But yeah, I'll read you guys the inside because it's hard to kind of explain the variations of this story. Okay, so Alice of Wonderland. When Alice Hart, heir to the Wonderland throne, must flee through the pool of tears to escape her murderous Aunt Red, she finds herself lost and alone in Victorian London, befriended by an inspiring author named Lewis Carroll. Alice tells the violent, heartbreaking story of her young life. Alice trusts this author to tell the truth, so someone somewhere will find her and bring her home. But he gets the story all wrong. He even spells her name incorrectly. By the way, in this story, her name is spelled Alyss, which I think is a beautiful spelling. Okay, anyway. Fortunately, royal bodyguard Hatter Madigan knows all too well the awful truth of Alice's story, and he is searching every corner of our world to find the lost princess and return her to Wonderland so she may eventually battle Red for her rightful place as the Queen of Hearts. Love it. I love Hatter Madigan. I definitely, I want to reread it so that I can also reread Seeing Red and read Arch Enemy for the first time to see if I really didn't like it or just see if I just wasn't paying attention. But yes, this book is amazing, and it's gorgeous. Like, look at the real cover of the book. It's so pretty. I don't know if you guys can see that because the sun's really bad. Ooh, wow. But yeah, it's like all sparkly and wonderful. Yeah, so that book is very good. And I love Alice in Wonderland. It's one of my favorite stories. But the reason why I didn't include it in this haul, actually, I mean, not the haul, in this favorites section is because I haven't read it in so long that I need to reread it and see if I still love it as much as I remember. And I also, only read half of it, because I love the story, but I've only actually read half the book, so that's why I didn't want to include it in this. Okay, last couple ones. Both of these are by Markus Zusak. The first is The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. I read this in my YA Lit class, and it is heartbreaking and beautiful, and it's told through the point of view of death. It's amazing, and I will read you the back. It is 1939, Nazi Germany. The country is holding its breath. Death has never been busier, and will become busier still. By her brother's graveside, Liesel Meminger's life is changed when she picks up a single object, partially hidden in the snow. It is the Gravedigger's Handbook, left there by accident, and it is her first act of book thievery. So begins a love affair with books and words, as Liesel, with the help of her accordion-playing foster father, learns to read. Soon she is stealing books from Nazi book burnings, the mayor's wife's library, wherever there are books to be found. But these are dangerous times. When Liesel's foster family hides a Jew in their basement, Liesel's world is both opened up and closed down. In the superbly crafted writing that burns with intensity, award-winning author Markus Zusak has given us one of the most enduring stories of our time. This book is so awesome, and it has some really amazing little stories and illustrations in it, and the really defining thing that makes this so wonderful and different isn't only Liesel's story, but the fact that it's told from Death's point of view. This is the first time I've ever read anything like this, and it was so, this was just such an emotional read for me. And it's cool because I really love, the Grim Reaper type of, I like it when people personify death in books or films. Like Meet Joe Black is one of my favorite films. Because I like that because it's nice to think of someone, that death actually would have a conscience and a personality, and that death would be torn about doing its job. So, you know, that's one of my favorite things about this book. Okay. Next is I Am the Messenger by Markus Zusak. I just finished this at the end of January, and the ending kind of threw me off. It wasn't an ending that I was expecting, but it was still such an amazing read. I got sucked into it when I bought it because my friend, one of my best friends, read it and loved it, because I was talking to her about The Book Thief, because she owned The Book Thief, but she hadn't read it yet, and she actually read this one first, and she loved it. So I got this because I thought, hey, I love The Book Thief, so I need to read this one as well. And I started reading it when I went to New York, and I couldn't put it down. There were some points where I didn't even want to go out and do stuff because I just wanted to read this book. But yeah, I'll read the back to you guys. Ed Kennedy is an underage cab driver without much of a future. He's pathetic at playing cards, hopelessly in love with his best friend Audrey, and utterly devoted to his coffee-drinking dog, the doorman. His life is one of peaceful routine and incompetence until he inadvertently stops a bank robbery. That's when the first ace arrives in the mail. That's when Ed becomes the messenger. Chosen to care, he makes his way through town, helping and hurting, when necessary, until only one question remains. Who's behind Ed's mission? So, yeah, this is just such a great, mysterious book. And I don't really want to give you guys any more detail other than reading you the back because it'll give away too much, but the characters in this are very, you kind of get sucked into their world very nicely, and you connect with each of them on a specific level, and there's parts of this book that are just utterly heartbreaking, and parts where you're just cheering for Ed, and so, it's very good. Okay, I think this is the last one. Yep. Last but not least, Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson. I also read this in my YA Lit class. I'd seen the movie with Kristen Stewart years ago, when it first came out, and it's one of the few films, I'm sorry for any Kristen Stewart fans, but it's one of the few films that I actually think she does quite well in. This book is so hard to take, but it's so amazing. And I will read you the back. I am outcast. The kids behind me laugh so loud, I know they're laughing about me. I can't help myself. I turn around. It's Rachel, surrounded by a bunch of kids wearing clothes that most definitely did not come from the East Side Mall. Rachel Bruin, my ex-best friend. She stares at something above my left ear. Words climb up my throat. This was the girl who suffered through brownies with me, who taught me how to swim, who understood about my parents, who didn't make fun of my bedroom. If there is anyone in the entire galaxy I am dying to tell what really happened, it's Rachel. My throat burns. Her eyes meet mine for a second. I hate you, she mouths silently. Melinda Sordino's freshman year is off to a horrible start. She busted an end-of-summer party by calling the cops, and now her friends, and even strangers, all hate her. Months pass and things aren't getting better. She's a pariah, the lowest of the low. Avoided by everyone, but eventually she'll reveal what happened at the party, and when she finally speaks the truth, everything will change. I don't want to tell you guys what the truth is, because, this part of this book, is kind of going through and trying to figure it out as you're reading. That's a huge part of it. And it is so good. It's really, really heartbreaking and a lot of it's hard to take, because it's just so intense, but it's a very, very good book, and I highly recommend it to anyone. Anyone and everyone, basically. So yeah, those are my favorite YA books, and that's kind of the end of my favorite videos, favorite book videos. I don't know why I did air quotes there, I didn't really need to. But yeah, my next video that I think I want to do, I might do a Friday Reads video. I know it's kind of late, but actually the sun's going down, so I probably won't do one of those. But the next videos that I'm going to do are my favorite book-to-film adaptations, and I'm going to do a book haul in, like, maybe next week sometime, or maybe in a couple of weeks. It depends on when I get the books. But yeah, so that's the end of this video, and I'm really sorry for the lighting, you guys. It'll be better next time, because I'll start earlier in the day. But yeah, please comment and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.